Welcome to today's edition of the Rush 24/7 podcast.
Yes, sirree, Bob. Great to have you here, folks. How are you? You know, people ask me all the time, Rush, what's it like to be you? Well, I'm going to tell you today, in one sense, what it's like to be me. And I don't want you to think I'm complaining, because I'm not complaining, because I have nothing to complain about. Well, look, I mean, like everybody else, if I wanted to focus on things to complain about, I could find them. I just don't complain. That's what makes this amazing. I don't complain to anybody about me. I mean, I might opine about things, circumstances, situations that bother me and so forth, but I don't do it from a whining stand. Well, you fix it? You fix it? I just can't stand it. I can't stand complaining because I don't know how to deal with it myself. I really don't. I become tongue-tied. I don't know what to say other than, oh, that's horrible. Oh, I feel so bad. Sorry. Oh, man, is there... I'm reluctant to ask if there's anything I can do because I'm afraid of the answer. What? What, it's terrible to say that? No, it's not. I'm telling you. Anyway, greetings, my friends, and welcome. It's 800-282-2882 if you want to be on the program. Back to that in just a minute. Once again this morning, an incident on Capitol Hill. I really think the drive-by media is making people insane. I really do. I think the media is driving people crazy. The Democrat Party's helping. And I have another question here. Who's really an arm of who? Is the media an arm of the Democrat Party, or is the Democrat Party an arm of the media? I've been pondering this, ladies and gentlemen. I actually think you could make the case that the Democrats are incidental to the media. And I'm going to explain why, because I got a complaining note from a friend of mine, which is what inspired all of this. Anyway, back to this incident in Washington. A lunatic, a woman driver, was ordered by the police to make a U-turn. Normally, you don't have to tell people to do U-turns. They do them on their own. But this woman was ordered to do a U-turn. Instead, she became erratic and nearly struck the police officer who was telling her to make the U-turn and hightail it out of there. She also struck or nearly struck a car. We're not sure yet. This led to her being pursued by the Capitol Hill Police, not the FBI, not by the CIA, not by the NSA, not by the DIA, but the FBI. And that's important because when the FBI is after you, it's not terrorism. Well, because the way this moves on here, the police pursued her and shot at her until she stopped and she was taken into custody. And of course, we have been assured that this is nothing more than a criminal act or something, but it isn't terrorism. And it may not be. I don't know. I'm not going to split hairs over that. But we've got these White House fence jumpers. And do you know the hysteria? And I knew this was going to happen. The hysteria the left is in because Trump has canceled a couple of Obama executive orders on the environment. They are beside themselves. Podesta has an op-ed today, in the Washington Post. Michael Moore claims that this is going to lead to the extinction of the human race. Drive-by media, individuals, Al Gore, they're all hysterical. They are absent reality. They're out of their minds. And if you look at these little snowflakes on campus, you know, who makes them the way they are? You're not born thinking and believing and feeling the oddball things that so many people believe today. It's arguably the education system, but it gets back to the question of what's an arm of what? Is the media the arm of the Democrat Party, or is the Democrat Party the arm of the media? So now we move on to, I get emails from people. They don't specifically say, what's it like to be you? They reference it. Boy, it must be great to be you after hearing me describe things I've done or whatever. But sometimes somebody asks, in a humorous way. And I just want to tell you here, folks, that I wouldn't trade me for anybody. There isn't anybody else I want to be. There isn't anybody I wish I was. There's not a part of somebody I wish I could add to me. I love me. So I'm satisfied with me and who I am. But a part of being me is a sponge. For some reason, you would not believe the number of people that whine and complain and get negative on it. For example, I got an email from a friend last night who told me in all capital letters to stop it. To stop it. Just, I know you have to repeat things in order for it to make an impression, but we, the educated members of your audience, are tired of hearing it. And what he was tired of hearing about was me describing how the Democrats can't win elections. That they lost the presidency, that they've lost 1,200 seats. We know that. We know that. Do you know what your audience is yelling at you every time you say it? They're saying, shut up. It doesn't mean anything because we're not winning. We're losing everywhere you look. They're about to run our president out of town. The Republicans can't do anything right. What are we getting for winning all these elections? We're losing, and you're out there making it look like winning these elections matters. You've got to stop it. So I'm looking at that. A lesser person would think, is my career over? Have I finally lost the ability to relate to my audience? Is my audience now shouting at me to shut up, and I don't know it now? I've always known when that happens. That you need empathy. To do what I do it well, you need empathy. Empathy with the audience. You have to know when the audience is on the verge of leaving. You have to know when the audience is loving it. You have to know when the audience is digging it. You have to know when the audience is paying scant attention, and you've got to rope them in. I've always had that. But now I'm being told you are tired of hearing about all the signs and evidence of Democrat loss and Republican win because there isn't any winning. We're not winning. Now, this guy's perception that we're not winning is due totally, and he even admits so, to the media. No matter how much we win, it's not portrayed, it's not reflected. In fact, it's just the opposite. If you watch the media each and every day, you would think that the Democrats won the election. Look, are you tired of hearing me go through this riff? Democrats won the election, Republicans stole it, working with the Russians. But his point is larger than that. His point is that for all the successes Trump is having, nobody knows about them. All these things he's doing to create jobs, to revitalize American business, to grow the economy, those things are happening, by the way. Trump is even having, from Foreign Policy, the Washington Post magazine, Trump is having overwhelming success against ISIS. The Washington Post is reporting this. They've got a magazine called Foreign Policy, in which they are competing with the Foreign Affairs, which is the official publication of the member of the Trilateral Commission, the Council on Foreign Relations, which was started by, well, no, Rockefeller, who's recently died, started the Trilateral Commission. The conspiracy is deep, and it's wide and has many tentacles. And oftentimes they are confused. I got another note from a guy in Washington last night. My gosh, Rush, this town is sick. This town is perverse. There is something seriously wrong here. Things don't feel right. And then he said it. Because I said, what's the matter? Why are you even there? Well, I've got a couple of dinners with, and he told me the names of people he's having dinner with, and he had to go to Washington to have dinner with these people. He said, Rush, it all feels temporary. Trump doesn't feel like he's really president to me. It all feels temporary. It doesn't feel like he's really won the election. And I'm scared. I'm scared that it didn't really happen. And even though he won the presidency, I mean, Air Force One doesn't look as big to me. I'm not as impressed when I see Air Force One. None of the stuff I've always associated with the presidency do I see here in this. I'm really worried, Rush. I'm really worried. Another email. Rush, I just don't see Trump's heart in this. I'm watching. I don't think Trump cares. You trying to tell me that Trump knew what was in the health care bill? He's trying to say he didn't even know what was in it, Rush. Oh, my God, Rush, we're in so bad shape. His heart's not in it. You know what? I think he was satisfied to win. Now he's going through the motions trying to survive. Oh, my God. I'm saying, what? is it that's causing all this? What is it that is generating all this? And look, I mean, I know one of the answers, and it's obviously the media. But my friends, I have to tell you, I can't tell you the number of conversations I've had, official and otherwise, with people over 3 decades about what to do about the media. In terms of turning them, defeating them, relegating them to irrelevance. That's why I ask, are they an arm of the Democrat Party, or is the Democrat Party an arm of the media? I'm under no illusions of the power of the media. As you know me, I don't even think the media is what they are. The media implies people that are in the media doing the news, and that's not what we get from these people at all. I mean, they're clearly all totally focused on removing Trump from office. They want to destroy Donald Trump. That is the mission. Now, I have an attitude about this that says it is just part of the playing field that we've chosen to be on here, and it isn't going to change, and so it has to be dealt with. I have never harbored an illusion that the media is going to change. I've never harbored an illusion that the media is going to be tolerant of or even supportive of most of what you and I believe in. But I also do not get fatalistically pessimistic about it. But I think a lot of people are. And I think the foundation or root of all of these emails I'm getting is that people feel powerless to battle this and don't know what, and they think I may have some kind of ability to battle this. Excuse me. So my point here is I could spend, I might, reviewing some of Trump's achievements, and they're pretty big. They're not being reported on. The Trump administration does, a half-baked job of selling them. I think there are things Trump could do to counter what he's doing on Twitter. I mean, expand on what he's doing on Twitter with the media. For example, you remember George W. Bush, when he wanted to go into Iraq and get rid of Saddam Hussein. By the way, they pronounce his name that way on purpose. You people new to the program may not know that in Iraq, in that language, when you pronounce the name Saddam, you are calling them essentially a dirty shoe. Pronounce it or shoe shiner or some menial thing. Saddam is an insult. That's why Bush 41 always called him Saddam Hussein. It's not because Bush 41 didn't know how to pronounce it. The correct pronunciation was Saddam Hussein, but it pronounced Saddam. At any rate, Bush wanted to get rid of Saddam. What did he do? Bush spent a year, almost a year and a half, traveling all over the country, making speeches, trying to drive public support for it. The reason I mention this is another of the emails. Why didn't Trump do rally after rally after rally to sell health care reform? Why did he rely on Ryan? And you get into all the other allegations you get about Ryan. So, folks, what can I do? I'm looking for assistance here on how to deal, because, I mean, it's consistent. It's constant. Whether we win elections, whether we lose elections. I am under siege with people pummeling me with worries and fears and negativism. And I work very hard not to allow it to also rope me in and have a day-to-day attitude like that. I've said this before, and I've even gotten, you need to join us in the pessimism. That's the only way you can relate to it. It's the only way you'll be able to deal with it the way we see it. You can't sit there and act like you're above it. I'm not trying to say I'm above it. I just don't want to be a pessimist all the time. We only have one life, And I'm not going to allow these people to ruin mine. It's a delicate balance. I mean, I've got responsibilities here behind the golden EIB microphone. And by the way, all these complaints, I don't poo-poo them. As you can tell, I've not laughed at them or made fun of them or ridiculed them. I have brought them in. I have processed them. I have worked them through the corridors and the nooks and the crannies and the deep, dark crevices of my fertile mind, working through all of this. I listen to what people say. And about the only thing, well, no, let me not go there right now. You have an idea on how to defeat the media, I would love to hear it. I don't want to turn every call into this. I'm speaking rhetorically here. I'm not throwing out a topic. We don't do that here on the EIB network. All right, so what do we have today? We have the continued effort to unseat Trump via the Russia and spying, and we've got what I think is some really earth-shattering news on this front. We have the left. You think you're pessimistic? You know, the mistake I think a lot of people, you think the left is happy while they're doing all this. You think you're miserable and down in the dumps and feeling defeated, and you're upset that you don't feel the glow of victory, even though we won. I started getting emails from people, stop talking about all the seats the Democrats have lost. It's not relevant. We aren't winning. If you're miserable and unhappy, do not make the mistake of thinking that the Chuck Schumers and the Michael Moores and whoever you want to name it, they are not happy, and they're never happy. They are incapable of it. They exist in this kind of swirling descent into near insanity. That's their natural state of mind, their natural state of constant rage, never-ending upset. So don't think that they're happy while you're not. I know the media makes it look like the people on the left are solid, that they're adjusted, and that they're all they're unified and coordinated and all this. These people are miserable, and they are the ones bringing everybody down. And I wouldn't succumb to it if I could. But I know it goes deeper than that. Now, I've taken a break here because of the constraints of the programming format combined with the clock. So, be back in a second here. So, yeah. Spicer's talking about right now, reviving healthcare reform. Mr. Newt has a piece on it today. Yeah, we're going to get into all this stuff. We look, if I don't talk about it here, it's not worth you knowing anyway. If I do talk about it, there's nothing else you need to hear. Those are the two things you just never need to forget. Yesterday, we talked a bit about the Oakland Raiders moving to Las Vegas, and I shared with you some obvious things that are going to happen with young single athletes in the prime of physical condition with money, more money to know what to do with in Las Vegas, asking the question, will the home team be able to field a team on game day? Well, lo and behold, CBS Sports, the Bunny Ranch, which is a brothel, a Bunny Ranch owner to open a Raiders-themed brothel just outside of Las Vegas. The VIP section of the Raiders-themed brothel will be exclusively available to Raiders players and other high-profile athletes and staffed with over 20 cheerleader-garbed working girls. They're already making plans. Pretty soon the players are going to get paid to go into these places. Having more fun than a human being should be allowed to have Rush Limbaugh behind the golden EIB microphone. The telephone number, if you want to be on the program, is 800-282-2882. All right, the left, the media, actually one and the same, are literally in hysterics over the rollback of the Obama Clean Power Plan and rollback of Obama regulations that were implemented from the Environmental Protection Agency that supposedly rolling them back is going to destroy the planet now, and it's going to lead to human extinction. Now, never mind, folks, the thing that nobody's telling you about this, The main thing that Trump rolled back is something the Supreme Court had already ruled to be unconstitutional. Obama was just denying it. He was defying them. Now, normally the Supreme Court's worshipped by the left, but of course that's subjective, and the left ignored this Supreme Court ruling. In 2016, the Supreme Court blocked Obama's Clean Power Plan after more than 20 states complained that it exceeded federal law. So what Obama implemented has already been declared unconstitutional by the Supreme Court. But Obama defied it and never removed those regulations. Now, Obama is a typical leftist and used the EPA to impose these regulations, which ought, this kind of thing is what Trump is tearing down. This is what draining the swamp means, is cutting the budget of the EPA, getting rid of people in there who are just going to issue these kinds of regulations outside the law that are going to require people to lose freedom, lose a little liberty, behave in a certain way, all to advance a global initiative based on a hoax, which is called climate change. Now, the psychology of this is one of the many aspects of it that fascinates me. If you believe the left on climate change, what you have to believe is that the existence of humanity and that the progress that humanity makes in improving standards of living, extending the lifespan, the average human being, increasing the wealth and growing economic opportunity, all of that is said to be the cause of global warming. Now, who is it that's opposed to that kind of thing? Who's opposed to individuals getting wealthier? Who is opposed to expanding liberty and freedom? Who is opposed to governments not having this kind of power? Why in the world would you want to stand in the way of human progress? If you look in Africa, the left loves to tell you how they love Africa. Africa is one of their favorite places because there's so much poverty there, and so many of the people who live there are black. And it's just shame, and it's an example of worldwide racism and discrimination. And so there are charities after charities after charities dealing with improving life in Africa. And yet, whenever an African nation discovers oil, whenever an African nation discovers natural resources that will help it become independent and become richer by having resources they can develop and sell, guess who goes in there and shuts them down? American environmentalist wackos, claiming, no, you have got to stay in this mud hut lifestyle of yours, because if you leave this and if you use the oil you've just found or the natural gas, then you are going to be contributing to climate change. The left, the worldwide left, enforces poverty on people in the name of saving the planet. But isn't it odd that the very thing all human beings from the beginning of time have sought to do, improve their lives, improve their standards of living for themselves and their children, to acquire wealth, become financially independent, financially capable, to educate their kids, to live longer, to invent things, to make life more productive and easier and so forth. Those are the things that are said to be destroying the planet. How can that be possible? But yet that is who they are. That's what they believe, and they guilt people into believing that their pursuit of wealth and pursuit of freedom and their pursuit of an improved, expanded lifestyle has contributed to the destruction of the planet. They offer them a chance to redeem themselves by admitting the blame, accepting increased taxes, driving little peanut cars that nobody wants, doing all of these things, keep the thermostat at 78 in the summertime and 62 in the winter. All of these things, eat this weird all stuff that people, whatever you do to make you think you're saving the planet, is designed to reverse capitalism, reverse progress. So Trump, during the campaign, said he was going to do just what he's done. He's going to get rid of these penalizing regulations. He's going to open the coal industry back up. Joe Manchin, Democrat Senator, West Virginia, is praising Trump day in and day out. Said President Donald Trump is the only president who has ever thanked miners for what they do. And Donald Trump is trying to revitalize and bring back the coal industry, which Barack Obama admitted in the 2008 campaign he wanted to shut down. I know there's a factor that so many leftists are huge donors and they also believe in it, but they benefit financially from all this climate change stuff. They find a way to benefit from these rampant environmental regulations because these regulations freeze everybody out, limit competition and so forth, actually create monopolies in wind and solar and all. It's just it's hideous. So Trump has announced and signed an executive order that stripped the EPA's ability to continue with Obama's Clean Power Plan. And the media went nuts. Lester Holt, NBC Nightly News, after suffering defeat in Congress and his promise to replace Obamacare, President Trump returned back to the executive order route today to deliver another major campaign vow. It's a jobs move that, like the health care gamut, entails shredding another major piece of the Obama legacy. The stories are numerous today. From the Politico ex-Obama team, distressed as Trump guts climate regs. By the way, I have to admit that I was wrong about something. And I can do that. Doesn't happen very much, so it's not something I have to do a lot. But I predicted that when Trump did exactly these kinds of things, that Obama would call the media and be on TV and ripping Trump and the Republicans to shreds. That has not happened. Obama himself has not called the media and gone on TV yet. I still think it's going to happen at some point about something. But so far, it's Obama's surrogates that are carrying the spears on this. Hundreds of people in the Obama regime spent years building the climate change regulations that Obama hoped would mark a lasting turning point in the nation's response to global warming. But it took just a couple of months. It's all it took, folks. It's a couple of months for that mean guy Trump to start wiping them out. You might be saying, well, how can this happen? Because these are just regulations. They're not laws. And this exposes one of the primary tactics of the left. Use regulations from the Department of Education, regulations from the Environmental Protection Agency, regulations from Health and Human Services, regulations, Fish and Wildlife Service, whatever. And what they do is tell you what you can't do. They are express incursions on freedom. The reason Obama did it this way is because he would have never had legislation passed in either the House or Senate. He might have gotten the Senate. He might have gotten a Democrat Senate. But there would have never been a piece of legislation on his desk he could sign which would do what these regs did. Same thing in the FCC. The FCC is unwinding what Obama tried to do with net neutrality, unwinding what Obama tried to do to penalize the telecom industry and the telecom companies and so forth. The left is seething over all this. But look, you live by the pen, you die by the pen. If you believe in something and you can't have it made law, if you don't have the power or the votes to actually have things implemented by statute, and you have to then go the executive order route, then you have to know it's going to be just as easy for an opponent to come in and wipe them. And that is exactly what's happening. And Trump said during the campaign he was going to do it. And how many of you, when Trump met with the New York Times editorial board, And the reporting was that Trump seemed open to the Times editorial board's entreaties on climate change and global warming. And it was I, El Rushbo, who tried to walk you back from the ledge by saying Trump knows what to say to who and when. At the end of the meeting, the New York Times actually thought they had a chance at changing Trump's mind on this. But since Trump left that meeting and has become president, it's bye-bye this clean power thing, the clean power rule, bye-bye Paris Accords, because Trump recognizes what this is. It's nothing more than punitive actions on American business. And Trump does not think American business is evil. He does not think small business, large business is evil. He realizes that's where economic growth comes from via employment, productivity, invention, ingenuity, and innovation. All the things the Democrats claim is destroying the world. Trump is revitalizing them. If you take the time to look, there are lots of things to be happy about. If you take the time to look, there are a lot of promises Donald Trump is keeping. If you take the time to look, there are a lot of achievements that Donald Trump has already notched in his belt. But if your happiness depends on the media heralding these things and praising Trump and reporting it, that isn't going to happen. All these things are being buried. You have to go out there and dig them out, or you listen to me tell you after we've dug them out. Because the media Democrat complex is all about destroying Trump. And they're not going to stop. Have to take a break. We'll be back. Much more straight ahead after this. Greetings. Welcome back. Great to have you. Rush Limbaugh here at the Excellence in Broadcasting Network. 800-282-2882 if you want to be on the program. John Podesta in the Washington Post. Trump is on a rampage to endanger the planet. Now it's up to us to save it. John Podesta, who probably did more business with Russia than Donald Trump has done, had as much involvement in Russia, along with many, many other Democrats. But, of course, you're not going to hear about that because the Democrats and their relationship with Russia is not the focus. You're never going to hear that the Democrats were in bed with the Soviet Union all during the Cold War. You're never going to hear that this is the first time in our lives that the Democrat Party's been opposed to Russia. This is the first time in my lifetime the Democrat Party's ever had a problem with Russia. Any other time in American history, at least the Cold War forward, we are going to have evidence of the Democrat Party sidling up to the Soviet Union and holding out hope that the grand Soviet experiment would one day work. Now, you're not going to be told any of that. Now, Trump's on a rampage to endanger the planet. Now, here's another thing with this. This goes to the point of education, the lack of critical thinking, the lack of things being taught anywhere anymore. Just look at this headline. And by the way, the headline is accurate to what's in the actual story or the column here that Podesta has written. Trump is on a rampage to endanger the planet. Now, I know that I've gone through this before. But does anybody ever stop to think about what that really means? I know, not you. I know you all up to speed of it. Stop and think when you hear that Republicans want to endanger the planet. Not Republican ignorance will cause the planet harm. No, Republicans want to. Not just want to. Trump is on a rampage to do it. Now, what's in it for Donald Trump? What's in it for George W. Bush, George H.W. Bush, Newt Gingrich, Ted Cruz? Pick any Republican you want. What's in it for them to endanger the planet? Do they have a secret planet to go to after they destroy this one, leaving all the liberals and Democrats to die? Republicans already have a secret way off. They already colonized an asteroid up there, and they haven't told Stephen Hawking about it. They haven't told Buffett about it. They haven't told Bill Gates about it. Republicans already have a way to get to Mars or an asteroid to save themselves after they destroy Earth. I mean, what the heck? And it doesn't matter whether it's these regulations that Trump is removing. It's any pronouncement of environmental policy that opposes the left is met with, oh, they're destroying the planet. They're destroying the climate. They're killing the polar bears. Why? What is in it for anybody? I mean, just simple logic should be enough to refute this argument and make it laughable. Well, you see, my friends, therein lies the true danger, because the American left buys it. Young skulls full of mush, from kindergarten, daycare on up now to higher education. They've bought it. It's been drilled into their heads. And they are scared to death that the planet is not going to be able to support life in another, 30 years. They really, some of them, really believe this. And they believe that the Republican Party's trying to make that happen. How did the Democrats succeed in making so many millions of people stupid? How did they do it? It's certainly not by appealing to their better angels. It's not by appealing to optimistic futures. It's not by trying to inspire and lift people up. It is, in fact, just the exact opposite. And you can see the evidence of their success issue to issue to issue. The things that these people on the left literally believe and then allow themselves to get scared to death. Washington, I'm misread the clock by a minute. All right, folks, not much time here to say anything, but hang on, because we're coming right back with much more on the EIB Network. Yeah, look at this here in the New York Times. Their lead editorial: President Trump risks the planet. So you got Podesta in the Washington Post. Trump is on a rampage to endanger the planet. Look, the Democrats talk this way because it works. And that's the scary thing. It works. It works such a way. People just accept it now. This is just the language of the left. You just deal with it. You don't object to it. You don't highlight it. You don't laugh at it or make fun of it. You just accept it and then debate them on the premise that we're trying to destroy the planet, ravage the planet, risk the planet. Hillary Clinton has even come out of the cave. She went out to San Francisco. She's made a public... By the way, welcome back, folks. It's a delight to have you here. 800-282-2882. You see, she was wearing a leather jacket out there. A black leather jacket. What a hot mama. Well, not in San Francisco. Of all places. Actually, my friends, it makes total sense that Hillary Clinton comes out in San Francisco. And by come out, I mean re-emerge from the cave in which she's been hiding in Chappaqua, probably making sure she's not there when the Energizer is, and then returning back home when the Energizer departs. So she's out there, and if there's ever a woman who put people at risk, it's Hillary Clinton. Can we talk about Benghazi? Can we talk about this flaky, stupid, dangerous Russian reset? I mean, wasn't that long ago the Democrats love the Russians, were colluding with the Russians, and presenting them a new plastic red button symbolizing a reset with Russia after Bush had been such an enemy of the Russians. Hillary wanted to show that we were buddy-buddy again and we'd have no problems with the Russians. Now, isn't it amazing how the Democrats all of a sudden hate the Russians once again? But she's out there saying one of the things that she surfaced to say was that Trump's order to undo Obama climate plans puts American lives at risk. And she said, these are more than statistics. They're American lives at risk because this administration willfully ignores the science. That's another thing. There isn't any science. When you have to rely on tiny little liberal actors dressed up in lab coats and bow ties, like that real, what is Bill Nye? What a fraud. A genuine, legitimate fraud. He's not a science guy, but he's one on TV. And so that's all that counts, and he's out there spewing this stuff. But I'll tell you, if anybody put American lives at risk, it's Hillary Clinton, not Donald Trump. She's an expert at it. If Ambassador Stevens was still alive, he could more fully explain. Look what she did to Libya. Look at the number of people that died in Libya. She was the brains behind a military operation, turned an entire country into a hellhole run by terrorist organizations. And you know who else the Democrats have put at risk? And that's the mental health of these college students today. Look at what they've done to them. Starting with daycare. What they're really afraid of, folks, is not that the planet's going to be destroyed. They're not worried that human life is going to go extinct. They're not worried about any of that. What they're worried about is that Trump is actually going to do what he said he was going to do. And what they're really worried about, that Trump is already doing what he said he was going to do, and that's roll back all of this garbage and return as much liberty and freedom and power to the American people and the American economy as he can. It's the rollback of the Democrat Party agenda that has them in hysterics, not the planet being at risk, not human lives being at risk. You see this, we were talking about California secession yesterday and how I told you it's never going to happen. Democrat Party would actually go to war to stop California from seceding. You take the 55 electoral votes in California away from the Democrats every presidential election, it's never going to happen, folks. They might be dreaming about it out there. The Chief Justice of California, the theoretically highest state law enforcement official, the Chief Justice of the California Supreme Court, Tani Cantil Sakaue, is fast emerging as one of the Trump administration's most vocal critics in the judiciary. On Monday, Tani Cantil Sakaue used her annual State of the Judiciary address to argue that the rule of law was being challenged amid the Trump administration's immigration crackdown. She didn't mention Trump by name, but she told California state lawmakers that the rule of law means that we as a people are governed by laws and rules and not by a monarch. Folks, this is insane. She was talking about the immigration crackdown and Trump's enforcing the law as violating the rule of law, because San Francisco and Los Angeles are sanctuary cities, and Trump has nothing to say about it because that's local, that's federalism, and this is monarchy for Trump to come in here and say that sanctuary cities are against the law, and they clearly are. In fact, let me find something here that I've got the specific statute as written about this. I may have to find it during the break. I don't want to waste time rustling through papers here. There an aspect of the statute, this I remember. Try this. If you are running a sanctuary city in violation of federal law, and if anybody is murdered, anybody is killed by an illegal alien in a sanctuary city, local police and law enforcement can be sent to prison if that law is enforced. So here you have the Chief Justice of the state of California claiming that enforcing federal law when it comes to immigration is akin to monarchy, and what she really means is tyranny. There's all kinds of different monarchs. Queen Elizabeth is a monarch. Prince Charles wants to be a monarch, but he may not get there. King Juan Carlos is a monarch. Royal family rulers, one-person rulers. They're tyrants. Depending on how they rule, they're tyrants. But I mean, this is beyond insane, but this is a California state Supreme Court chief judge. Trump trying to enforce the nation's immigration laws on the books since 1965, amended in 1986. Laws that were passed by bipartisan Congresses, signed into law by both Democrat and Republican presidents. LBJ and Ronaldus Magnus. The only monarch that we've had, or close to a monarch we've had, is Obama, when he was using illegal executive orders to stop enforcing these laws and to pass out work permits and citizenship like candy. And where was it? Is it Nebraska? Little old Nebraska. People don't think anything untoward could possibly go on in Nebraska. But Nebraska has set up a charity, sort of a welcome wagon for refugees and illegals. And a bunch of Democrats have gotten together out there, and they have created welcome baskets for newly arrived refugees. Have you ever moved into a town, neighborhood, and here comes the welcome wagon welcoming you to the neighborhood, and they bring you a bunch of cheesy, chintzy little presents? Well, they may not be chintzy, but it's an effort to make you welcome to the neighborhood. Well, the Democrats in Nebraska doing this statewide, and you know what's in these welcome baskets? Voter registration forms for illegal immigrants and refugees. And when they were called on it, the Democrats said, hey, haven't done anything here. We just trying to speed up the process by which they learn about democracy. Proving what this is all about anyway. Illegal immigration, sanctuary cities, what it's all about is increasing Democrat voter registration and voter rolls. But this chief judge said, we are living in a time of civil rights unrest, eroding public trust in our institutions, economic anxiety, and unprecedented polarization. Again, this is Tani Cantil Sakaue She said, our values, our rules, our laws are being called into question, and all three branches of government and the free press are in the crosshairs. It literally is insane. She is the one advocating lawlessness. She is the one encouraging the violation of the rule of law. She is the one, along with most of the California legislature, California Assembly, that doing everything they can to thwart federal immigration law. You know the kicker? She's a Republican. She was appointed in 2010 by the Terminator, by Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger. Massachusetts State Representative Michelle Dubois posted a warning to illegal immigrants on her Facebook page Tuesday about upcoming immigration and immigration customs enforcement raids rumored to be taking place in the area. In the Post, Michelle Dubois wrote, ICE raids in Brockton on March 28th. I got the following information from my friend in the Latin community. I have a message for the immigrant community from Brockton. Please be careful on Wednesday the 29th. ICE is going to be in Brockton on that day. If you are undocumented, don't go out to the street. Michelle Dubois, who represents the 10th district, added, if there's a knock on the door of your house and you don't know who it is, do not open the door. I ask you to be careful. She included a phone number for immigrants to call if they screw up and end up being detained by ICE. She followed up her original post with a chart explaining what to do if ICE comes to your door. You want to talk about violating the rule of law? You want to talk about threatening the legal system of the United States? That's all on the modern day Democrat Party. There's earth-shattering news to me, or I don't know, blockbuster news out there on this Devin Nunes story that the drive-bys are summarily ignoring. The blockbuster story, a huge smoking gun. I think they're ignoring it because the media is complicit. I'll have details. We got to get the phone calls, too, when we get back. So don't go away, folks. Okay, here you go. I found it. The illegal Immigration Reform Act of 1996 requires states and municipalities to cooperate with federal authorities on immigration requests. As you know, these requests are being denied. Federal agencies like ICE and other immigration enforcement agencies are asking for assistance from state and local authorities in California, sanctuary cities, illegal immigration havens, and so forth. The Illegal Immigration Reform Act of 1996 requires states and municipalities to cooperate. A state or local, I am now reading from the statute, a state or local government entity or official may not prohibit or in any way restrict sending to or receiving from the Immigration and Naturalization Service information regarding the citizenship or immigration status, lawful or unlawful, of any individual. Title 8 U.S. Code, Section 1373. It's exactly what's happening. It's specifically proscribed. It's against the law. And the Chief Justice of California claims that it's Trump enforcing this law, destroying the rule of law. There's this punishment in the law. I'm paraphrasing, but if someone dies because a city official decided not to comply with the law, there's a name you can associate with this. Steinley, San Francisco. If somebody dies because a city official decides not to comply with federal law, the maximum penalty is life behind bars. These people are violating the law, prosecuted and convicted, life sentences for what they're doing. And yet they claim Trump is assaulting the rule of law. Things are upside down. And this is why I'm sure my buddy says you can talk about the Democrats losing all the elections you want, but the picture every day is they're winning and we're losing, and we're tired of hearing you talk about all these Democrat losses. But they are losing. They're losing election after election after election. Look, folks, I can't help it if the Republican Party doesn't know what to do with that. I cannot help it if the Republican Party does not know how to capitalize on the Democrat Party losing. And if you think that the only solution here is dirty tricks and start fighting fire with the media, who's going to do it? Trump doing it alone isn't going to accomplish anything. And I can tell you right now, Republicans in Washington, D.C. have no stomach for it, no desire. That you don't even, if you bring it up, they're going to poo-poo you, walk out of the room, start ignoring you or what have you. Anyway, back to the phones. We going to start Holyoke, Colorado with John. I'm glad you called, sir. Great to have you here with us.
Mega dittos, Rush. My pleasure to speak with you today.
Thank you.
Hey, I got to listen to Governor Chris Christie on the #1 morning show, Fox and Friends, and he reminded me that Obamacare took a year and a half for Obama to put into place without any Republicans, and I think 9 weeks is way too soon for us to expect for President Trump to get something through, and that just takes me back to what Aaron Rodgers once said, RELAX, my fellow Trump fans. Let him get in there and take care of things, because I think with the new sheriff in town, the different factions of the Republican Party haven't figured out their pecking order yet. So I think we just need to relax and give him time.
What do you mean the factions of the Republican Party haven't figured out the pecking order? What do you mean?
Well, we have the hard right, the Jordans and those people, and then we have the squishy Republicans, the rhinos.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Jim, don't start using the leftist terms to describe decent paper. Jim Jordan's not hard right. I don't mean to jump it down your chili here, but that's the way the Democrats talk about Jim Jordan. Is it Jim?
Okay, I'll retract that. But yeah, we're like the caller yesterday said that the Democrats would rally around the bologna sandwich, and you said whether they wanted mayonnaise or mustard on it. And we as Republicans haven't figured that out yet. We need to rally around our leader when he's in control.
You think the Republicans don't know that they have to do that? Don't misunderstand the tone in my voice. I'm actually trying to extract information from you. See, let me just cut to the chase here because time is dwindling. I don't think the Republicans are confused about anything. I don't think Republicans don't know how to repeal legislation. I don't think the Republicans have to learn any pecking order. I don't think it's about that at all. And by the way, there's another thing. It really sounds good. Well, you know, Rush, the health care laws in this country, why, it took 50 years for these things all be built out and implemented. You can't just strip this stuff all away inside of 6 months, 6 weeks. Yes, you can. But we're not talking about repealing 50 years worth of stuff. We're talking about repealing Obamacare. Now, it may not be quite as easy as I think it is, but I don't think it's this hard either. I'm sorry, my friends. I know I'm speaking about things I don't do. I don't do legislation. But how hard is it to say this law sucks? We've been telling you for 7 years we're going to get rid of this law because it sucks. This law is damaging people. It's hurting people. It is not insuring people. It's not covering people. It's a disaster. We got to get rid of it. And today we're going to. What's so hard about that? Well, Rush, you got to have a replacement. You got all kinds of replacements. We got what was in place before Obamacare happened. Revert back to it. There's any number of things. My point is, I'm not yet convinced that there is a party-wide desire to do it. That seems to be the missing ingredient here as I watched all this go down. That's just me, folks. It's just me. Back to the phones. We go to Gilbert, Arizona. Hey, David, you're next. It's great to have you on the one and only EIB network. How are you?
I'm good, Rush. How you doing?
Very well, sir. Thank you.
I was calling with a point that I want to put to all the Americans out there, including myself. We all need to get a backbone. All the people that are in the armed services are going overseas to fight for us. And now we're all sitting back here like a bunch of whiny babies because Trump hasn't turned this around in 2 months when the left has screwed this country over for 30 years. We all need to get a backbone, stick to our guns, start expelling some of these senators who are just siphoning off of this country.
Well, we're going to get the next chance to do that in 2018. We're going to get rid of a bunch of them. You know, the thing about all this, and here I go. By the way, David, thanks for the call. He's reacting to some emails I had shared in the early segment of the program with some people, friends of mine, who are getting mad at me for not recognizing how much we're losing, and that I am avoiding the truth, and that it's really desperate in Washington, that this all feels temporary there. I don't want to redo the whole segment, but the subject was how so many people are complaining to me about things, and at the root of the complaints, the media, and for example, Democrats losing all these seats, guy says, you got to stop talking about that. We hear you. We get mad every time you do because they're not losing, dude. They're not losing. Well, but they are. I know politics is perception. Perception is reality. Perception is they're not losing because the Democrats don't act like losers. The Republicans don't know how to act like winners. I get all that. But in the real world, the Democrats are losing when they're up for election. Now, they're not losing the campus. They're not losing Hollywood. I understand all that. So he's reacting anyway. He's reacting to my explaining how so many people complain to me and whine about things. And I think it's largely because they think I can do something about it since I have this, the golden EIB microphone. But the fact remains, the Democrats as a political party are in big and deep trouble. Now, you may not see manifestations of it. I mean, this guy, Tom Perez, he was Obama's labor secretary. This guy is one of the most mean, vicious partisans out there. I don't think he's ever been elected with it. It doesn't matter, but he was Obama's labor secretary. He's the new chairman of the Democrat National Committee, and he just fired everybody. He is cleaning house in there. You don't do this if your machine is running at full speed with no bumps in the road. And they have lost all of these elections. And they don't have. Who is going to be the big presidential candidate for the? If you had to pick somebody right now, who's on their bench? There isn't anybody. Now, Biden's running around, if I'd have been a nominee, I'd have won. I'd have beat Trump in a direct insult and slap at Hillary. The Clintons are grooming Chelsea to run for something. Senator from New York, to keep that dynasty as it is going. Now, I'm under no illusions here. I think his point about people needing to get a spine and stick with it, that Trump's only been at it 2 months, is true. It's just, I think the root of this, if there is one, the attitudinal root, tell me if any part of this is accurate where you are concerned. The euphoria on election night and the immediate aftermath was so great because it was so surprising. It was so unexpected. I mean, some of you, I'm sure, thought Trump was going to win. I did. But when it actually happened, and when you saw the flat-footedness of the Democrat, and you saw Hillary hide for a day, she was so devastated she couldn't come out and concede. When you saw all of this, when you saw the total disorientation of the Democrats after this, you were feeling good. And Trump, during the transition, was kicking ass. And Trump was having meetings at Trump Tower and at Mar-a-Lago, and Trump owned the news cycle. The Democrats were just getting up to speed on this collusion story between Trump and the Russians. They had to go into action quick on that because the day of the election and every day prior, they thought they were going to win. There wasn't any collusion with Trump and the Russians. There wasn't ever going to have a big celebration. So they had to manufacture a reason for their loss. And I've had a couple of people tell me that they're shocked that Trump doesn't have more support in Washington now. They're surprised that there is so much rancor and partisanship in the country. There is a belief that after Trump won, if Trump won and after he won, that some people would come together, realize the election's over, and that there wouldn't be this much rancor, there wouldn't be this much partisanship. And so that has turned into disappointment from what was an excited euphoria. And then, of course, the daily assault and effort here to take Trump out, to eventually get him out of office and so forth, has led people to some degree of frustration. I don't know if that fits you, but in the meantime, while all of this is going on, all this perception creating is happening, Trump is actually achieving quite a lot. He has actually already fulfilled a whole bunch of campaign promises. The economy is doing great. Jobs, real jobs are being created. American companies are announcing they're going to reopen factories here. The coal industry is coming back to life because of what Trump did today. And for his part, Trump seems, he's aware of what's going on. He tweets about the failing New York Times and how the media is being unfair and all that. But as far as Trump is concerned, he just gets up every day and goes to work and is trying to keep making his promises and advancing his agenda and so forth. And there just isn't any acknowledgement of it. In places, I guess, people want to see it. But the Democrats are continuing to lose. McConnell came out the other day and said, guaranteed, that Neil Gorsuch will be confirmed on April 7th. You realize that Democrats in the Senate might have trouble blocking him? Everybody assumes that McConnell is going to have to do the nuclear option in order to get Gorsuch confirmed, because everybody assumes that the Democrats are going to be full-fledged united behind. There are already some breaks in that armor. Joe Manchin is one, and there might be a couple of others who are going to end up voting for Gorsuch. It has to be the case because McConnell is not the kind of guy to go out making guarantees like this unless he's relatively certain that they're going to happen. Then the health care fiasco happened. I understand how that could deflate a lot of people. That was a fiasco. I don't think it's going to be as bad as I originally thought last Friday, but I thought that had the potential to derail everything. I don't think I was as forthcoming with you as I could have been because I don't want to complain. I'm not going to join that chorus. I'm just going to bide my time and wait. My instinctive reaction was, this is not good. This is going to embolden the Democrats. This is going to invigorate them. It's going to create renewed energy, and they're going to ratchet up opposition even more. And now I'm thinking, not that bad. It is an opportunity to make it better. And I'll tell you, if that law had been, the arguments in that law, everybody acknowledged that it was not optimum. Everybody acknowledged that it was very wanting in a number of places. But the prevailing opinion seemed to be, you got to do it. You got to do it. Half a loaf better than none. You got to at least get something done because it's going to change when it gets to the Senate. You got to get something on paper, get something done so progress can start. I'm actually of the mind that the thing failing is going to end up being the best thing that could have happened. And not because of what I'm hearing today, although what we're hearing today is optimistic. Trump's running around talking, hey, we're going to come back to it. Don't worry about it, gang. We're going to get it done. We're going to get it done right. Mr. Newt's out there with strategery and theories on how to do it and how to get it done, which I will share with you. But the blockbuster news today that everybody is ignoring, understandably so, is contained in a headline at a website called Circa. John Solomon, who used to be an AP reporter, who was not your typical AP reporter. I'm going back 10 or 12 years. Then he went to the Washington Times. He's now formed a website, or taken over a website, used to be named Circa. It's his now, and he writes with a woman named Sarah Carter. The headline of this blockbuster story, Obama's rule changes opened the door for NSA intercepts of Americans to reach political hands. What this story is about is how Obama changed the rules on incidental wiretapping. In other words, NSA, CIA targeting foreign actors, and that surveillance picks up Americans, such as Mike Flynn. Obama changed the rules to share the transcripts of that intel with his political people. Susan Rice, Valerie Jarrett, John Brennan. Opening, or I should say expanding, the universe of possible leakers to the media about what was going on. So Obama, late rules change at 2 now, sharing intel with 16 different intel agencies, including foreign governments, and now opening the door for NSA intercepted intelligence of Americans to reach the political operatives in his administration. I'll have the details, this and what Newt's thinking about on health care, some other things, plus more your phone calls. We get back in the fastest 3 hours in media. Our next caller is calling from a truck in Cornelius, North Carolina. This is Rick. Rick, thank you for taking the time. Great to have you on the program.
Oh, wow. Thankful for cochlear implant dittos, Rush. It's amazing how you do your job.
Thank you, sir, very much. I appreciate that.
Yes. Oh, man, this is going to be a tough call here. Rush, you earlier in the hour, the first hour, talked about what is it we can do to deal with this media that is coming against us in such a way. And this is tying in exactly to what I wanted to talk about. This past Friday was an incredibly frustrating day. In many ways, I don't like to see the Democrats win at anything at any time. And I was really hoping and pulling for the bill to pass just to deflate the Democrats. I understand a better bill could have been presented. I understand that. You seem to be even somewhat deflated that it went down, but maybe not, because on Monday you seem to change your tune. And
wait, hold it. It had not gone down when this program was over. They hadn't done the vote. The vote was at 3:30, and I was not even sure they were going to have the vote. And by the way, is another? I didn't really share all this with you, but I didn't have the slightest idea how the vote was going to go on Friday, even though most people that I talked to afterward assured me they knew it had no chance. It wasn't even going to. Rush, this bill doesn't have a chance. Trump is losing he's losing House member after House member after House member, because once the moderates realized it wasn't going to pass, they didn't want their name associated with a vote that lost it. So there were people abandoning support for the bill, and that's why Ryan pulled it. Nobody was able to save it. But that didn't happen until after the program was over. So I could not have been talking about the bill being defeated or being pulled when the program left.
It seemed as though you were somewhat supporting, but let me say this, because I may not ever get this chance again.
Okay.
All right. Rush, what frustrates me to no end is you are the big voice on the right, but you are like a trumpet with baffles on it. You're baffled in that you mute the noise that you can make. And you were earlier talking about what is it that we can do to deal with these liberals and the media. The problem here, Rush, is this. I know I speak on behalf of a lot of people. I know you hate television. I know you hate doing television. I'm not going to tell you to go back and do what was a very popular and famous show. But, Rush, you could leave 1 hour of your program, similar to the way Amos did it, and the way you already have the ditto cam, and make some sort of agreement, contract with some station Fox, whomever, and they will play your whole program for an hour. There are a lot of people. I'm a truck driver. There are a lot of people who know about you, but they never get to hear you because in the hinterlands, they can't pick up the stations. There are a lot of stations that refuse to carry you. But if you, Rush, were to just put yourself, open yourself, there will be tons of stations, media outlets that would love to they know they would get a tremendous amount of revenue. So would you. You wouldn't have to put on makeup. You could just be just yourself on the radio. Everybody would be able to pick it up, even record you if they need to, and your voice would be heard even far and wide without you taking one effort or doing anything different than what you currently do. And it really frustrates me that no one has, or even you, has put forth doing that to get your voice out.
Wait a second. You mean get my voice? Are you? Don't misunderstand the question here, Rick. But are there not enough conservative voices on TV to get the message out? I mean, there's a whole conservative network out there called the Fox News Channel.
No, sir. No, sir. There's not but one Rush Limbaugh, period. No one communicates as effectively as you. No one, sir. No one ever communicates as effectively as you. And there are people who would love to hear the way you put your take on things. If you were on television, the revenue would be astronomical. You are a very unselfish guy. You can make tons and tons of money, but you choose to sit back in your comfortable chair. Fine, you enjoy that. But the point here is you can do nothing extra other than to say, look, who will take my program for an hour, for 2 hours? There are stations that would, Fox or whomever would love to take you, put you on before Bill O'Reilly, and just have your program on there. And your voice would be heard immeasurably in this United States and out, even beyond. And the thing is, it will lend so much support, Rush, to the cause because no one communicates and no one is a better entertainer than you, period. No one. And so what you have to say is so strong, Rush, and this is what really frustrates me about you. You are like the trumpet with a baffle on. You're muting yourself. The things that you could do in terms of even if you slightly, if you don't want to...
Rick, I let you go uninterrupted as long as I could because I really appreciate what you said. I'm literally out of time. You can either hang on, or if you got to go, you got to go. But I have no... Thank you. I hear you. And that's it, my friends. Another exciting big broadcast hour from Rush Limbaugh, the man not working hard enough in media. We will be back. Don't go away. Yeah, and make sure line 1 hangs on, too, because I got a story to go with that one. And we got a guy on line 2 here with an interesting theory on how to defeat the media. Well, at least some of them. It's a good theory, too. And we're going to get to all that El Quico. Welcome back, folks. It's Rush Limbaugh. This is the EIB Network. And I know it doesn't mean much, but it's the most listened to radio talk show in America. 800-282-2882 if you want to be on the program. Look, I know what the last caller said. You wouldn't have to do any work, Rush. You wouldn't have to do any makeup. You wouldn't do anything. Just let some network put an hour of your radio show on there. At 7 o'clock at night at Fox and put it on there and you'd reach a whole new different block. Look, I don't want to go through the down and dirty numbers here, folks, because when I do that, it's misunderstood as me either criticizing or insulting people. But I want to tell you how flattered I am before I say anything. Rick calling from the truck in Cornelius, North Carolina, I was flattered beyond my ability to express it. Because, look, we have the House of Representatives. We have the Senate. We have Donald effing Trump in the White House. And still, well, his middle initial is, it's J. That's right. It's Donald J. Trump. Just a little John Kerry link. We have Donald Trump in the White House. And still, it's up to me. What? It is surprising. We've got the House, we have the Senate, we have Trump, we have Fox News. And yet, that's why I say I'm flattered. As to his suggestion of taking an hour, he kept referring to the Diddlecam. And for website subscribers, we televise the program. We have a camera here, and it televises whatever happens within the camera frame of this studio, the desk, and everything. Now, folks, I understand how easy it seems to do that. It would be just bring in a Fox camera or whatever network can bring them in here and televise an hour, record it, air it later that night, and reach a whole lot more people. Not a whole lot more. Maybe some different people, but not more. Please don't make me explain that. There's no gracious way of doing that. Well, people don't understand numbers anywhere, but when you start talking about numbers, there's no way to do it gracefully. Trust me when I say I would not be reaching more people. Not even close, folks. I would not be reaching more, maybe different people. But here's the thing about his suggestion, and I'm not rejecting this, but I've learned, I've done a TV show, and I'm telling you, a radio show is not meant to be watched. Just televising a radio show is... The beauty of radio is that you can't see it. The beauty of radio, if it's done right, it creates theater of the mind. It's all part of the... And I don't want to give away the marketing theory, the performance strategy here, because it is unique to me in terms of what we do here and how. But once you start watching a radio show, you have removed the primary ingredient that makes it interesting, and that is the fact that because the sense of sight, vision, is the most powerful of the senses. And that's evidenced by the fact that a picture alone can move. A single still picture can move gazillions of people to think something. So there's no argument for me on the power of pictures. But radio never has had pictures, and it doesn't now, by definition. So for a radio personality or program to succeed, if it's not just trying to be a dry ball presentation of the news like NPR, but if you're in the competitive arena and there are literally tens of thousands of different shows and stations, the ways in which you, or talking about me in this case, choose to cut through that noise is what has to happen is the audience has to be actively engaged. not passively. Now, the explanation for that, if you're in an elevator and there's music on and you're talking to people in the elevator, that music is called passive. It's there, but you're not paying any attention to it. It's just noise. You can have the TV on in your house, in the kitchen, and have the family running around doing things, and you're not watching the TV, but it's on. That's passive. If somebody is on TV or something is on TV while the family is in the kitchen and they're not talking and they're watching, that's active, and that's what you strive for. Same thing on radio. There's no passive success here. Well, in radio, one of the ways in which you engage people and make them active listeners and have them glued so that they don't want to do anything else, you have to find ways to incorporate this mystery called the theater of the mind. And it's the one ingredient that radio has that television does not, that if used properly, if perfected and learned and executed properly, it can have a much greater impact than TV, because it can create a much more intimate, direct connection with the audience. Because with television, as I say, the power of vision, you are so focused on what you see on TV. That's the first thing that permeates, the first thing you notice. That's what largely people judge whether they like TV or not, is what they see on it. You take that's not possible on radio. You have to create it. And if somebody knows what they're doing and can do that well, then you have built a bond and a connection that nobody can break. TV does that for you. So how do you stand up? How do you stand out? How do you overpower on television the picture? And putting a radio show on TV is not going to do it. I've seen it. There are any number of people that have tried it. And particularly a show like this, where there's just me. There's no other guest in here. There's not a parade of people running around yucking it up and laughing. And there's no video whatsoever. Sound bites are not video. They're all audio sound bites. So if I were to do it, it would have to be a specifically produced TV show. It'd have to be different, because just putting this on TV, it might reach some more people, but it isn't gonna glue anybody to the set. It's not gonna. And it's not because I'm not good. It's not because it's just because the power of the picture would overwhelm. The evidence of this is every time I do television. Man, I loved your tie. Even to this day, my last appearance on Fox News Sunday, I must have had 15 people ask me if they could get that tie. I had 2 people tell me, you were brilliant with Chris Wallace today. That doesn't bother. Don't misunderstand. I'm not whining or complaining. I'm just telling you what is. Here's another thing. When I go on TV, a lot of my friends say, well, why watch that? That's no different than what you say on the radio every day. And that's another thing. Say 15 hours worth of stuff here. How do you save stuff for a mythical TV show or 1 hour on TV? My theory's never been hold anything back here. Why do that? When I have a newsletter that's published once a month, I do not say, I'm not going to talk about this month so I can have a piece about it in the newsletter. You just can't do it that way. That's if it's out there and it's interesting, you talk about it. So you can't help being redundant or being repetitive or what have you. The only reason I'm mentioning all this is that if the day ever came that I had to go back TV, it could not be playing an hour of this show. Besides, which hour would you pick? They're all brilliant. Which hour would you choose? And I know what you're saying. Do all 3 then. Do all 3. That's rotate. No, I mean, but any day you'd have it. You have to pick the hour of the 3 every day. But I'm very flattered by Rick's entreaties and his suggestions, and he's not. Well, yeah, I know what his point was. But I'm not trying to repeat that, because then that would be viewed as, we heard it, Rush. You don't have to remind us. It's a very fine line here. But just trust me. I heard what he said. I was very flattered by it. I heard him say that I don't care who else is out there. You do a good job of explaining this stuff to people. And I've got emails. This guy was right. This guy was right. You need to be on TV. I think the reason people are saying that is because TV today is, it's every, Facebook has TV. Twitter, you can put video on it. You've got all these cable networks. And there is a lot of TV, and it seems to be the place to be. But trust me, my friends, we're doing quite well here. Anyway, I just wanted to react to him and give his call the respect that it deserves, because he was very serious. And it was generated by a question I asked in the first segment of the program today. Is the media an arm of the Democrat Party, or is the Democrat Party an arm of the media? And a friend sends me a note saying, you keep talking about all these elections Democrats have lost, but we don't feel like the Democrats are losing anything. The Democrats are winning every day. That's all we see. The Democrats are winning. And Rush, what it means is we've got to destroy the media, not the Democrats. The Democrats don't matter anymore. The Democrats are incidental. We have got to defeat the media. Dirty tricks, under the table tricks. We got to use the same tricks on them they use on them. We got to defeat them. We got to take them out. I've only been hearing that for 30 years too. But anyway, that's that. Now, I want to get back, take a break here, get back to this blockbuster story that we have. It's a miniature blockbuster from John Solomon at his Circa website, and maybe get back into Newt and his health care reform ideas. But I got to get these two calls. I want to get to them before we do anything else. So we'll do that when we come back from this obscene profit timeout. Do not go away. Okay, here's John in Queens as we head back to the phone. John, I'm glad you waited. Welcome to the EIB network. Hello, sir.
Hey, Rush, how you doing?
Very fine. Thank you.
All right, well, I've actually been thinking about this for a while. A way to limit media influence. Canada passed a law a few years ago prohibiting cable companies from bundling their stations. Like in New York, for instance, if I want the Yes Network, I have the Yankees, where the Yankees are on. I have to take everything. So I have to get the max amount of programming. Almost every station for me just to get that one channel. So if it was offered a la carte, I think that would have a big impact on cleaning up, like, cable TV. Like, you just drop MSNBC.
It is interesting that you say this, because during doing show prep today, I encountered a story by a guy named John Nolte. And I don't remember where the piece was published. He may have his own website. I think I've heard of him. I know I have. I even know I've mentioned his name before. But it's exactly what you're talking about, John. His theory, his premise, was how to destroy CNN. And he said, look, folks, CNN doesn't have any audience already. So driving down their audience is not the way to do it. The way to damage CNN is to take money away from them. So he asked the question, if CNN has a small audience, and they do, they're now behind MSNBC, a national cable network with a cum audience of under 1 million total persons through much of the day. I mean, it's embarrassing. And yet, CNN doesn't care. Well, I say they don't care. I'm sure they'd be hoping to reach more people. But the fact is, they are still earning money as though they have an audience of 70 million. And it's exactly because of what John's talking about here. They're on cable. They're a cable network. And as such, they get a fixed amount of money per subscriber from it's a Daily Wire. That's right. It's Ben Shapiro's place. It's ESPN. We talked about this with ESPN on how they're hurting. ESPN has the highest subscriber rates in all of cable TV. ESPN is paid by cable companies around the country almost $7 per subscriber before they sell a single commercial. Even people that don't watch ESPN are paying that because they're buying a basic cable tier or maybe a bundle package here, a bundle package there. And as long as CNN is in one of the bundles, they get whatever their subscription fee is. And I think in CNN's case, wild guess, I think CNN's around $1.50, $1.75, $2. I mean, ESPN's way, way, way above anybody else. So his theory was the way to really hurt CNN, because the advertising agencies are going to still throw money at CNN because they're all liberals, and they're going to give them money no matter what just because of, ideological support and unity. But if you really want to hurt CNN, or if you really want to hurt MSNBC, cancel your cable and find a way to get the networks you want by paying for them. And don't buy CNN. Now, we're getting to the point where people can do this. DirecTV Now is an online streaming service. They have 3 different tiers, and each tier offers more channels. They don't have any local networks, but they do have CNN, ESPN, Fox News. But you can buy one of the tiers in DirecTV Now. I think that does not carry CNN or Fox or whatever. I'm not mistaken. But you can go a la carte. You can cancel everything. If you were really into this and really wanted to affect this kind of change, you could cancel your cable and replace it with online and streaming, and you go out and buy apps or whatever of the stuff you want to watch. At the top of everybody's list, there would be Netflix. With Netflix, you're practically covered on anything you want entertainment-wise. For $9 a month, you can buy CBS and watch anything, including their archives. CBS All Access. NBC has an app. Same thing. ABC has an app. Same thing if you want. CNN has an app. Fox News has an app. Comcast has announced a streaming service. They're going to have, just like DirecTV Now, which is AT&T, they're going to have theirs starting later this year. This is called cord cutting, and it is very popular among millennials who hate cable. They despise it because they think cable companies are ripping people off. And they don't watch. You have to spend X per month for 200 channels, and they watch 5. So they're finding a way to only get those 5 channels, and in case of an emergency, being able to access a cable news channel if they need to, or find a way to get it without paying for it. Piracy is a big deal. Anyway, Nolte's point was that we can't hurt CNN any more than they've already been hurt by driving audience away because they don't have any. And you can't hurt CNN by boycotting sponsors because the liberals that work in ad agencies are going to send them money anyway. They're going to buy advertising for clients anyway. The only way to really do damage to CNN, and this is one example he used, is to eliminate the subscriber fee income they get from being on all these cable systems. Now, I don't think it's realistic yet in this day and age, because I don't think we've gotten to the point where anywhere near, not even half the population even knows what cord cutting is, much less would go for it. Cable or satellite is still too easy. You call them up, you have them come out, they wire you up, you get your cable box, your DVR, and you're set. But there is becoming a greater awareness of this now. And the awareness is the focus people have on how much they're paying for what they don't watch. How many of you have a cable system and a plan where you have access to 100 channels, 150, 200, and how many of them do you actually watch? I mean, you don't even surf through them all. You have the 5 or 6 or whatever number it is that you watch, and that's that. But even the ones you're not watching, your monthly bill consists of how much that cable company has to send to CNN and ESPN and Fox News for these subscriber fees, whether you watch it or not, which is Nolte's whole point. So John here in Queens is on to something. And again, we're just at the leading edge of this. And I guarantee you these broadcast networks and properties and cable systems are highly aware of what's going on. They're already planning to battle with it. Yeah, that's what I said. ESPN's subscriber fee, $7 per subscriber. So per month. So multiply $7 times however many millions of people have ESPN in their homes on cable. $7 times that number of millions per month, then do that times 12. Now, ESPN's losing subscribers out the wazoo right now, and that's why ESPN, if you've seen the stories about how much money they're losing, that's why. It's not that they're losing advertising revenue. They're losing subscriber fees. They might be faced with lowering that fee from 7 to 5 or some such thing. It hasn't happened yet. Now, I don't know what CNN's fee is. I don't know what Fox's is. I think Fox is around a couple bucks. But all of these premium channels, that's why your cable bill is high. The cable company has to pay Fox, ESPN, whatever, for the right to put the programming on the cable system. Now, you can hate the cable companies all you want, but there's another player here in how much it all costs, and that's the providers, the content providers. Okay, Josh in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Great to have you. I'm glad you waited. Welcome to the big program. How you doing?
Yes, sir, Mr. Limbaugh. It is quite an honor. I'm 25 years old. I turned 18 just in time to vote for Barack Obama, and then again in 2012, but my brain grew a little. Anyway, I called because we all know about the Billy Bush tape that was let out before the election, right? And I was on my Facebook today. Across my timeline, I see advertising under funniestpic.info. Model groped 100 penises on the streets to move her career forward.
Hey, wait. I was kind of listening. I thought we were getting the setup here to something on Facebook. You kind of jammed me right in my face with that. You said that a model is running around groping 100 genitalia on the streets to advance her career.
So I went and I looked on YouTube. It has over 2 million views, and this woman is doing this to put herself out there. Now, Donald Trump on the tape, he talked about someone letting him. And this video has gone viral all over, and I see no moral outrage about this woman going and grabbing men.
Oh, I see what your point. So Donald Trump does that NBC tape with Billy Bush where he talks about what he talks about, and all hell descends on Trump, and Trump is considered to be the baddest guy out there, horrible guy, can't elect him. And this woman, his model, comes around and is actively doing it to get noticed, and everybody's applauding her, right? And you're saying,
where's the moral outrage?
Where's the outrage? Where's the justice? Absolutely.
The video is listed on a comedy.
The video listed as a comedy. How many times you watched it?
Just one time. Come on. I will tell you, I've been listening to you since I was 9 years old, since I ride around with my parents, and so I'm a long-time listener, but just a brand-new conservative convert. I'm not going to try to segue, but if the Democrat Party can be Santa Claus, if you have any funds left over, I would love to get one.
I think I do. I've got a black, jet black 7 Plus. I mean, if the guy's got the guts to call here and talk about a model grabbing 100 penises, he's worth a phone, right? So I think I've got one back there. If I do, hang on, Mr. Snerdley will get your address. The reason I want to take this call, are you mad at me for giving the phone away? You are? Yeah, but we're out now. There aren't any. They're mad at me in there because now everybody in the world's going to call and ask for one. And I've done it now. Now, this makes Snerdley's job harder because now people are going to call only to get on the air to ask for a phone. That's what I think this guy's going to get the last one. I don't think there are any more. Now, I do have 6 of the brand new red phones coming in, but they're not here yet. You know, the red iPhone 7 Plus. That was just announced. They should have been here by now. You know, with Apple, 1 day shipping is usually a week. But anyway, here's the reason I want to take the guy's call. I've mentioned this program before. Do you guys in there? What? Did I get a box in today from Apple? And you didn't tell me. Well, I never even got a shipping notice. That's why I didn't even think they'd been shipped. Well, obviously it's for me. You never buy things online from Apple with this address. Well, go open it. Let's find out what it is. I give the guy a red phone. Anyway, the reason that I took... Go get it. Go get the box. You ever have to tell people 3 or 4 times before they think you mean it? Anyway, the reason I took the guy's call about the model running around grabbing 100 genitalia, what have you, she's trying to get noticed. This TV show on HBO, Big Little Lies, or Little Big Lies, I forget which it is. It's a 7-part series. 6 of them have aired. Part 7 is coming up Sunday night. It stars Reese Witherspoon and Nicole Kidman and Shailene Woodley. I'm not going to try to describe this. It's one of the reasons I enjoy watching it is because everybody's life, it was the phones. It was the phones. They've been sitting out there all day and nobody told me, and I never got a shipping notice from Apple. You know, I bet the new spam filter picked it up. I'll bet the spam filter picked up my show. I've been wondering what's taking so long. Bring one of those things in here. So anyway, the reason I like watching this show, it's written by David Kelly, who wrote Boston Legal and some other things. The reason that I like the show is because everybody's life on the show is an absolute mess. It is liberals writing about their lives, and they're trying to be the best people. They're trying to just do everything right, eat the right things, and protect the environment. And one guy abuses his wife, another guy cheats on his... It's classic. It is watching liberal meltdown every week. Well, here's the payoff. Reese Witherspoon, her character has a daughter who is rebelling against the mom. That common happens, that whether liberal or conservative doesn't matter. And she has a project she is working on for school that is oriented toward public service requirement and graduation, and she's not telling her parents about it. Her parents are divorced, and she has left her mom, Reese Witherspoon, to go live with her dad because he's much more tolerant and permissive, and the dad's new wife is an even crazier New Age lunatic. Do you know what the project is? You do? Oh, okay. She is selling her... This is a written script of a TV show. This 17-year-old high school student is selling her virginity on social media to raise money for Doctors Without Borders. Now, you and I would laugh ourselves silly. I mean, if you get into it, watching a bunch of liberals write about their lives and act their lives out, and we would say, typical. But the arguments that the parents have, they're torn. They're torn between their daughter pimping herself out, but the cause is so important. The cause is so good. And rather than tell her, no, you are not doing that, you're not debasing yourself, you're not doing this, they negotiate with her. And she still gets mad because she doesn't see the upside of their parents don't see the upside of what she's. The most amazing thing, sell your virginity on the Reese Witherspoon character. Mom hates it, thinks it's outrageous, and tells her daughter some of the mistakes she's made in life as a woman. Doesn't want this to happen to her daughter, but she's the only character that really is dead set again. The others can maybe be persuaded by negotiation because the cause, Doctors Without Borders, which is a fraud cause, it is so important. And I'm thinking, if I wrote a TV show, that storyline would never even occur to me. Whether I wanted to make a joke about it or not, it would never even occur to me. So when I hear that a model is running around with a video on YouTube or wherever of grabbing as many penises as she can just to get noticed, hell yeah. This day and age makes perfect sense, folks. Well, that's it, my friends. Another exciting and busy broadcast is now in the can and on the way over to the Limbaugh Broadcast Museum. Thank you so much for joining us and being with us. We'll be back tomorrow, revved and ready. And I promise I'll get into this Devin Nunes stuff tomorrow that I didn't find a way to today. It'll be around still.